Speaking of rankings, ESPN, we're going to talk about ESPN because where this firing ranks, TBD, to be determined. ESPN parted ways with NFL analyst Ryan Clark ahead of the expected layoffs. A lot of people are getting fired. A lot of people are unemployed. Lee, I do want to play a clip right now. Firstly, Ryan Clark and a lot of these people on ESPN. I'm sorry, I'm a jokester. You got to deal with that. This is what they heard from ESPN.
You're fired.
All right, a lot of people heard those words. And Lee, I'm going to play a clip from Ryan Clark in a few minutes, actually. I don't want to play it right now. I actually want to go in conjunction of what my take is going to go. So, Lee, the question I have for you, thoughts? Thoughts,
Look,
Lee, what's your thoughts?
a lot of people got axed. I mean, yeah, a lot of people got axed at ESPN. Ryan Clark, of course, but Cam Newton, they let him go. They let Charles Davis go from the NFL Network. They let Bart Scott go, Tom Pelissero. There were a lot of people that got let go, and probably some more that's going to come out over the next few days. The one thing that comes to mind with the Ryan Clark thing, I know a lot of it was reported that he was on air when they let him go. That's, to me, that's kind of unfortunate and very Bush League. And I get it. They said that they didn't want it to be leaked out, but still, man, the man was working. If you knew that you were going to let him go, I'm sure they didn't make the decision, right before NFL Live came on. I don't think they made that decision. So if you knew that he was someone that you were going to let go, you should have told him not to even report to NFL Live. Come on, man. That was kind of Bush League. But getting back to Ryan Clark, the player, I mean, the person, look, he had that little dust up with Peter Schrager. I think, that the people at ESPN didn't like that because, Peter Schrager coming over from NFL Network, he's sort of a guy that they want to really push and advance his career. I don't think that they like that. There was a couple other things that they made Ryan Clark apologize for over the last year, that he had to come back and apologize for things that he said. Remember, they signed Ryan Clark to a new deal in 2024, Leo, paying him over $2 million a year. So they had big plans for him, for what he's done and the push that they was giving him. But over this last year and a half, he sort of disseminated a little bit on what ESPN thought of him. And, making him apologize for several things, for some of his takes. That Peter Schrager thing, that was really, he came back immediately that afternoon and apologized. And then, Lil, for a lot of people don't know this, or maybe they do, Ryan Clark made the comment about black athletes not going to SEC schools, or states, not SEC, states where they were repressing and redistricting for political purposes. He said that black athletes shouldn't go, and those were states in the Southeastern Conference. And, ESPN, they're partners with the Southeastern Conference, Leo. So, a lot of things that we would never know why they chose Ryan Clark. But what we do know is that 2 years ago, they thought he was a superstar. They had some contentious negotiation, but he ended up getting a new contract with them, making over $2 million a year, and now he's gone. And these are things that happened during that time frame over the last year and a half. And so for whatever reason, they felt his value to ESPN and because he was on a lot of shows, Get Up, NFL Live. The man won an Emmy. He's an Emmy Award winning analyst. So he's done great things in the business, but for some reason it waned. And more than Cam Newton, and more than Charles Davis, and more than Bart Scott, this was surprising because of how he had positioned himself and what the network thought of him just a couple of years ago. So don't underestimate all of these things that have come up, and especially the last thing when he made the comment about not going to these schools that primarily is in the South and the Southeastern that was doing all this redistricting. That's huge, Leo. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, look, my thoughts on it is Ryan Clark was known to be a race beta, and now he's gone. And look, firstly, let me
I
say
don't
that
know if
Ryan
it's a
Clark.
race beta. I
Oh
mean,
no,
I hate when they say that. I hate when they
he's
say
one of
race
those race
beta.
baiters. Him,
Well, I don't,
Jamel
I don't,
Hill,
I don't like
especially,
race baiting
they,
because Lil.
they are race baiters. They be the
Well,
first
I don't.
ones to
Well,
put that in the category.
I'll let you finish, but I'll go my second lap. But go ahead.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, look, firstly, let me say that Ryan Clark is not a bad analyst at all. I don't. He's a very talented analyst. I think he's a good analyst. I like his podcast. I do watch it from time to time, not faithfully, but I might see a clip or two and I might check it out, which is the Pivot podcast. And I think if he follows in the steps of other media people who were fired from ESPN and made their own brands and took their clout with them and did their own thing, then he'll be fine. Now, because ESPN is the machine as far as advertising and whatnot, the reality is he doesn't have to deal with, regulated politics stuff and whatnot. You see, Lee, this is what it comes down to. Television is dying. All right. And ESPN is not exempted. When you talk about mainstream media, it's dying in general. CNN, MSNBC, for a prime example, have not seen long-term viewership in a long time. They have been declining for decades and hitting some of their lowest marks in decades. And now you have alternative podcasts like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, Alex Jones, podcasts that are getting billions of views, way more views than CNN and MSNBC. And what do those podcasts have in common? They're not controlled. They right-wing shows, uncensored. They tell you what it is, right? They give their opinions, whether you like it or not, and they tell you what it is. They talk about conspiracy theories that mainstream try to shut up. ESPN is no different. ESPN also is facing viewership changes as well. That's why they keep on throwing that wrestling up there, promoting the ESPN app and putting everything on the ESPN app. They want you to download the app. Like, no, you're a dinosaur. That's what it is. And that's why a lot of these mass layoffs are happening that we are seeing today, because ESPN is not as great as it once was. Now, it's still a machine. It still has a lot of advertising. It's still a hub that people go to watch the games and whatnot. But as far as them shows on there, they're dinosaurs. And look, I don't know what's so good about Pat McAfee that he's taking up half of the daggone pot. I watched him a couple times. I maybe he's just not my flow. I don't know what's special about him as far as how I just don't think he moves me. But hey, I'm just one person out of other people. Now, Lee, when you talk about Ryan Clark, as good as an analyst as he was, I thought that it went to his head, the platform. I thought he started talking out of line. And I'm going to play some of these clips that I want to play right now, starting with the RG3 clip. Because to be honest with you, if I was RG3, you would have had to see me in person. So I'm going to run that clip right about now.
Ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now if you're RG3, when is the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what Black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping.
Tyrone, is that not race baiting right there? Is that not race baiting right there? Okay? Lee, is that not race baiting right there? Where he literally comes at RG3 and his wife, who's white, that's race baiting right there.
Well,
now, Lee, I don't care. I know people have their thing. They hate to see interracial marriages and whatnot. Listen, I'm the person, I don't care who you date at the end of the day, right? That's race baiting right there. He race baited RG3, clearly. And if you tell me otherwise, Lee, you're not being honest.
Well, the I think it was tit for tat for what RG3 said about Angel Reese in that specific exchange as well. And I will say this: I totally disagree with Ryan Clark in that analysis, because him saying that just because RG3 is married to a white lady that he is out of touch with black experience, that's ridiculous. So no, don't get me wrong. Now, everything that he said is not true, but to Tyrone's point, of which I agree with, maybe not in this instance right here, Leo, if a man is speaking the truth and it happens to be about race, that's not race baiting. I disagree in this clip. I agree with you on this one, that his premise was not accurate. Just because he's married to a white lady doesn't mean that he, RG3, is out of touch with the black society, race, culture. I disagree with that. So in this instant, I think that was over the top in what he said.
Examples, but go ahead.
But go ahead. You can go ahead with your other examples if you have others.
Yeah, I mean, there were more examples of him race baiting, and sometimes, and like I said, Ryan Clark is a good analyst. This is somebody who, in his words, played the game. We know he played for the Steelers, and he gave a lot of good knowledge. But sometimes when he went for the race bait, it took away from some of that football knowledge that he had. I am going to play that clip. This one is not race bait. This is the one that you referenced with Peter Schrager. I do want to play that clip so people that heard it could see it. You know, heard you say it or talk about it could see it. So I'm going to run that clip right now. If I can find that clip right now. Here we go.
A.J. Brown, which is this number one wide receiver who got one target all night, and then you got CeeDee Lamb. But that's the
when was the one target?
That's the target.
But
though.
I'm saying when was the one target?
I'm saying you could have it both ways.
54 seconds left in the game on 2nd and 11. It was the one target. He runs the out route.
You wake up this
the
morning
corners
saying
got
A.J. Brown had a better day than CeeDee Lamb.
But you know what you wake up saying though? A.J. Brown's team is 1-0.
Of course,
right? Like that's what
I get it.
But the thing is this though, and we shouldn't do this on TV, and so I apologize if people think this is rude. That's the non-player.
Oh, stop! That's no. That CeeDee Lamb is.
Let me tell you why. I'm not saying.
I'm not looking at fantasy football, Ryan. I'm not. Don't belittle me like that. I could come in and say, as 3X players are saying one thing, and give an alternative perspective that maybe CeeDee Lamb did play well. And
Peter, what I need for you to do is not get mad and let me finish for one.
Okay, go on.
It was.
All right, Lee. This is my last point. I'm going to let you bring us home for time purposes. In both of those examples, right, we see Ryan Clark, whether one going for the race bait or not, have sensitive moments where he took offense. And I feel like when you debate sports, and look, me and you debate all the time, sometimes we agree. A lot of the times we may disagree, especially with controversial topics. But one thing I never do, Lee, is call you out your name or say something to belittle you. And you haven't done the same thing with me.
Absolutely.
We keep it professional. We like what we do.
Absolutely.
We debate. We laugh about it after the show is over. Right? And we talk about it.
Absolutely.
One thing you don't do is get offensive to the part where you start insulting people, especially your colleagues. At the end of the day, this is a colleague here. Okay, this is somebody that you going to work with, you on the show with, and whatnot. You don't belittle him like that in front of national TV because he didn't play the game. At the end of the day,
can I ask you a question, Real?
Go ahead.
Does non-football people see the game differently than football people, in your opinion?
Well, it really depends, because I think, yes, but I do think when you talk about sports content and sports debate, media is different than what it was before. Media is about giving opinions. When you talk about an opinion show, you give an opinion. Now, if you want an analyst to come in and give their football analysis, then you incorporate that in it. I think what we have here is that, look, I've seen players give horrible takes all the time.
Absolutely.
I could go down a list of players, former players, current players that give horrible takes. Paul Pierce is one of them. His takes are horrible. And guess what? He played the game of basketball at the highest level. So at the end of the day, when you talk about takes, just because you played the sport, look, we just talked about Lamar Jackson being ranked 61. He was ranked by his colleagues. Anybody that watched the game know he's not 61 in the league.
Allegedly ranked by his colleagues, but okay. But let me say this, Leah. And Tyrone said, did he really belittle him by saying he sees the game differently? That's my point. And that's a good Tyrone. That is a good point from Tyrone. Did he belittle him? Because
Oh yeah, he did. He did.
He didn't, because he said that's the non-football. That is true, though. Look, I don't agree with a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things Ryan Clark has said that I just flat out don't agree with. But in that instance, that was the first game of the season, Philly against Dallas, and Schrager was saying he had a great game. CeeDee Lamb dropped 3 balls that could have won that game for Dallas. So Schrager is saying he had a good game. Clark is saying no, he didn't.
How many times, Lee, do you see guys that played the game of football or any sport in general, doesn't have to be football, on a panel with guys that never played the game of football? Imagine him doing that to Stephen A. Smith. He wouldn't dare. He wouldn't dare. As powerful as Stephen A. Smith is, he wouldn't dare. He wouldn't dare do it.
I think he would,
because
because I'm a Cowboys fan, and I didn't think CD had a good game when they played Philly, because in the one pass that he dropped over the middle was a game-winning play that he missed, and he had 3 of them. So for Schrager to say he felt he played a good game, Ryan Clark, and I think even Teddy Bruschi felt that way, but he wasn't as vociferous as Clark was. I agree with him. He did not play a good game. Now, that's the non-player in you. Could have been phrased a little differently, probably. But it's actually true, because Schrager was saying, well, he actually played a good game. No, he didn't. He didn't. He made some catches. He got some yards, but he didn't.
And that's fine. He could have had that take wrong, but at the end of the day, I just thought he put him on the spot and he belittled him on the joint. Whether it's true or not, he still belittled him in front of national TV.
You didn't play the end of it, because he said, I'm not belittling you. I'm talking about me. He put it on himself, but we didn't play the whole clip. But
nice way to frame it. ESPN didn't take it as such, clearly.
Well, now I agree with you on that.
You know, but hey, at the end of the day, Lee, I'm gonna end it off here. This is what happens in ESPN. They had layoffs before. Yep. They have it even more so now. It's not getting more popular. Now, I'm not saying that it's not popular. It's still where it's popular. Clearly, it's a household name, but it's not getting more popular than what it already is. It's not growing when you have podcasts. We live in an era of podcasts and streaming. When that's growing, that's not growing.
Well, but ESPN controls sports, Leo. Let's not.
Yeah, I mean, they have access to sports.
Well, they control
the game.
Now that they own the NFL network, and they're in business with the NFL, and they have March. They have all this. I think they're bidding for March Madness here the next time it's up, especially with all this NCAA thing that's going on. They have college football, the major conferences. ESPN controls sports, so don't get it twisted. You want to work with ESPN.
They control the gateway to us watching sports.
You want to work with ESPN
100%. But when you talk about all them shows that I'll be seeing one day and then you go back and they're gone the next year, they're having a hard time finding consistent programming outside of maybe 1 or 2 shows that have been there for years, like First Take and Get Up. Other than that, all this other content. 1 minute you got a show with Dominique Foxworth, and then you have another one with Makila Hines, whatever her name is, and then you had High Noon, and then High Noon is gone. They're having trouble.
Yeah, I think the down. You're right. The down during the day, those programs are. You're right. I think they're hit and miss. PTI is strong. It's been going strong for years.
Yep.
But ESPN controls the sports. Layoffs are one thing, but layoff, arguably, your best NFL analyst is a different story. Yeah, to me, to Tyrone's point, and what I'm saying is, and I think, Leo, I think we're actually agreeing on it more than disagreeing on this tape, is that he sort of fell out of favor with the bosses at ESPN for several controversial things. I don't know if the RG3 one was as controversial, but this Peter Schrager and that last one I talked about, Leo, those are big ones. And so I do think, to your point, he moved out of favor with the bosses at ESPN.
Yeah, I agree. Clearly he did, and that race baiting lead wasn't enough to keep them happy, and that's just what it is, you know. So we'll leave that there. Look, I think Ryan Clark is going to be fine. Again, the blueprint is there. A lot of people that got fired took that blueprint and are doing well for themselves.
They're doing well. They're not making as much money as they make at ESPN, but
they're not. And at the end of the day, you have free. To be honest with you, freedom to say what you want in this time that we are living in. That they're trying to diminish free speech is something that money can't buy.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
You know, so take the money that you got. If you invested it in it properly, if you saved it enough, you can invest into your own programming and, you know, do your own thing and talk how you want to talk. Listen, don't be mad at me. You can race bait all you want on your podcast, Mr. Ryan Clark. All right, because at the end of the day, I may not agree with how you go about your takes and whatnot, but guess what? You damn sure have a right to say it.
Absolutely. Well said. I can
wait,
leave it there. Well said.
We're going to leave it there. And I have a right to go to bed because guess what? Your boy's tired.
Sports, politics, conspiracy theories. We are here to give you our unique perspectives on things happening in the world. It's the one and only, The Real Lil on The Real Lil Show.